today we have Gary Go.
Yes.
Who's Gary Go, Mike?
Gary Go is a multi-platinum singer-songwriter, producer, music artist, composer, and multimedia artist.
Wow.
And he's an artist who does music.
Yes.
If you didn't get that.
Yeah.
You know, Gary's amazing. He's just one of those guys that is enriched. You know, he's full of substance. He can talk to you about anything. And I know this just speaking with him. He has insight. He's one of those guys who's in tune. Like, he knows why he's eating what he eats. He knows why he listens to what he's listening to. And he's always, for me personally, he always throws me, did you see that documentary? Did you see that series?
Yes. Yeah.
And anything he tells me to check out, my goodness, blows me away. So
yes.
He has a great palette.
Yes.
For media.
Yes.
Okay, and what's out there.
100%.
You know, he's actually, he's worked with everyone from Rihanna to Tori Kelly to a number of artists, household names. Lady Gaga shouted him out years ago as saying that he was the number one. It was her favorite artist of the year.
Really?
Young artist of the year.
Okay.
And that's when he did a cover of one of her songs. So,
well, I mean, I'm excited right now. We're about to jump in.
Yeah, amazing.
Let's do it, guys.
Okay.
Next on Standing in the Six.
Straight out of the T-Dot.
That's what it is.
Live from the 6 boroughs.
Don't go nowhere.
For sure. Welcome to Standing in the Six with your hosts, Michael and Constantine.
Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome on this wonderful, wonderful day today. In the house, we have Gary Go. Now, Gary Baker is the full name.
That's the real.
Hold on? Did you ask if you're allowed to say that?
He didn't.
I didn't.
No,
Have I crossed any boundaries?
Let's talk to his team. Gary's team, is that okay?
It's okay.
Yeah,
It's out
Samantha
there.
says it's fine.
Yeah.
Sebastian says it's not good. And
Okay.
Huxley is just pissed off.
Huxley's generally in a bad mood.
You know.
Well, we're only going to say it once. We have Gary Go in the house.
Hey.
And Gary Go is an award-winning, multi-platinum selling songwriter, music producer, composer, and for those who doesn't think that's enough, a multimedia artist.
Wow.
Have I caught everything?
Did you read that all?
I did read it all.
Exactly as I wrote it.
It's out.
Perfect.
For anyone listening to this, they're going to be like, wow, man, this guy puts his words well. But I read that. Guilty.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming down, man.
Thanks for having me.
It's amazing. And I didn't even realize this when I was talking to Mike, because obviously I know there's the contact with
We have connections.
There's connections, yes.
Yes.
I said, Gary's from England? I mean, because I read some of your bio here, and he said, yeah, he is. I'm like, oh, man, I mean, I could relate to that. You know what I mean?
I hear you do a fantastic London accent.
I do. And I don't know. I usually deflect all this stuff. You think...
Listen, always say yes. Remember I said to improv, say yes.
All right, Mike. All right. So I do have a little bit of an accent when I kick it on.
It's really good.
My mom was from England, and always made fun of her.
Mom.
Always made fun of her. However, people used to think it's more Cockney.
Right.
Which is kind of more where I usually sit on.
Does she speak like that?
No, Gary, come on.
Come
on, love.
She's got a Canadian accent.
No, she has an accent still.
No, my mom, her accent 100% still exists. I don't think you can shake it. I don't think you can shake it. No, you
can. My wife's from England, and she shook hers, but she was young when she came. But this is a true story. Her and her brothers. So look, she shows up first day of school. Her mom gives her a poncho, and because she has a tan, she's in a poncho and she speaks with a British accent in Scarborough, and the kids just made a circle around her and told her to talk, and they thought she was Mexican.
Are you serious?
So back in the day, a British accent in Scarborough with a poncho on, you sounded Mexican. So her and her brothers watched television, and they purposely tried to lose their accent. So they watched and they changed. So all three of her brothers, you can't hear it, but they just hide it.
Wow.
Yeah, because if they were around Gary, their tongue would start to loosen, and then slowly they'd say, "Oh, can you get me socks from the drawer?" And then they like, I've been there when they've done it.
They just pick it.
It's So it's suppressed. It's 100.
Crazy.
So all those English folk out there that are suppressing your accents,
let it out.
Let it out.
Let it out.
I find accents fascinating.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, you can always hear. You're right. You can always hear, even if someone's dressed it up.
Yes.
It's kind of there.
It's there.
Yeah. Can you tell when all these British actors that are taking over Hollywood? Can you tell?
Do you know what? I used to be able to. I found getting more and more convincing actors now with their British accents.
They're getting good.
Yeah.
They're getting good. I just worked on the show Titans, which is a DC comic show. The lead, no one would know. I had no idea. Really cool guy, Brenton. He's Australian. And it's so funny because he doesn't have to stay in character. Like, he's not a method actor. So on set, he's literally this guy, this American. He plays Robin post Batman. Okay. You know the story. Yes. Come on, you know the story. You have the pajamas.
Yes.
And then as soon as the director yells cut, he's fully Australian. Okay, and then he goes back, and it's just so funny.
you
Like,
switch it on
yeah,
and
it's
off?
pretty amazing.
Crazy.
It's pretty impressive.
Crazy. Well, Gary, you obviously being from England, you were born there.
I was born in England, yeah.
Born where?
In London. I was born in London.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Grew up in London, grew up in Wembley.
And you were there for how long before you plunged over into North America?
I was there. I've always kind of been coming over to this North America from a young age.
Okay.
I guess on holidays.
Yes.
And
Family here?
family.
Okay.
As I got older, spending more and more time
Okay.
on this side of the pond.
Okay, but it was there. It was basically in London where, you started to just kind of create this pathway.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was in London. Playing in bands.
So what instruments? Because I'm trying to figure.
So I grew up kind of playing piano,
Okay.
but writing on songs on the piano, and then a bit of guitar, and then I put a band together, and then I started playing, around town and writing songs. And
How soon? How early did your parents put you into piano lessons?
I don't even know if they did. I was always kind of
Wow, really?
self-taught. Yeah.
Really?
But for
Wow,
that, I would maybe
a rebellious child.
Yeah, no, it wasn't rebellion. There was a piano in the house.
I'm not gonna read. I'm gonna play piano. Is that what
Yeah,
it was?
yeah. I just kind of took to it. But I was always wanted to write my own songs, so I didn't kind of learn piano.
Okay.
I didn't have the attention to sit and kind of learn Mozart or Chopin
Right.
or study piano.
Yeah.
I just wanted to write songs.
And
Yeah.
what age was this when you started this?
About 8.
8 years
Yeah,
old.
yeah. And my cousin gave me like this little Casio keyboard. He was a musician, and so I used to, and a double cassette deck.
Yeah.
And then I remember
Oh.
figuring out how
Remember
to
those?
multi-track. Do
Yes.
you remember how to
Yes.
like with the?
Yes.
So you record on one cassette, and then you'd record on the other, and then lay that too. I remember being so buzzed about discovering how you could multi-track with cassette,
Mm-hmm.
and I started making songs.
Wow. Do you remember what the name of your first song? Like as
The
an
Stomach
8-year-old?
Ground.
Stomach?
The Stomach Ground.
Really?
The
Yeah.
stomach ground.
Yeah, everybody walking on the stomach ground. Yeah, it was like a story about a village of people that lived on someone's stomach.
Wow.
And I
The
was about
stomach-
8 years old, and I think it was inspired.
That's amazing. That's creative.
It was either inspired or
So it's like the
precursor.
Smurfs on someone's
Yeah,
belly.
yeah, it was a whole world.
Yeah.
The stomach ground. That could
I'm-
fly.
I'm
right
thinking
now.
of Herman's Head. You remember
That could
Herman's Head, the
fly.
show in the 90s? It was everyone in his head.
No, was that an American?
Yeah, an American show, yeah. I mean, I'm thinking everyone's on a stomach now instead of someone's head.
Stomach.
Was that
Wow.
the characters with the long noses, the yellow characters?
No, it was a it was like actual.
Oh, it was a live action.
Yeah, live.
Okay.
Yeah. But crazy. So from there,
Yeah.
after the break of,
I didn't get signed off the back
So
of the stomach ground,
so after-
unfortunately.
Yeah.
No one heard it, but there is a recording of it. That
So after you optioned your book and your theatrical release,
Oh, that would have been great, wouldn't
Yeah.
it?
Wow.
Yeah. In fact, I know a guy I met recently told me the story of his niece who's about 8 that has a concept for a story, and it just got picked up by some massive studio to make a movie.
That's
And
amazing.
She got a book deal, and
Yeah.
like, can you imagine being 8 and just having all of that?
that's crazy. Just to know if you're ever gonna write something, it's
Yeah.
called like, I forget the exact actual wording, but Michael Crichton, who penned Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
So he has a formula. Don't just write a screenplay, write a novel, then actually option your novel to actually and get paid then,
Mm.
and then write a screenplay and and actually say that I'll option I'll option my book in order to write a screenplay, but I have to write it, and then after writing the screenplay, you essentially get paid it all 3 times. You get paid to write the novel, you get paid to option it, and you get paid to write the screenplay.
Mm.
So
It
remember
worked,
that.
worked for him
Yeah,
multiple
Yeah.
times.
it's definitely worked for him.
Yeah,
That's his
crazy.
strategy.
But does he write the screenplays of those movies?
Yeah, or at least the first one.
Right.
At least the first one. He is the credited writer, and then probably someone else comes on, and
Mega.
yeah, that's how you do it.
Crazy.
Okay,
Well,
so Stomach Ground, let's do it. Let's
yeah.
make it happen.
Yeah. So.
The Stomach Ground,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Series, musical.
Yeah.
Yeah,
book.
and then this is at some point
Podcast.
at the end of Act 2, the guy with the stomach eventually loses weight.
Right.
Okay, and everything starts to shrink, and
Yeah.
it becomes a valley instead of a hill. What do you
Yes.
think?
I like it. I like it. So let's
What
sort
do you
this
think
out.
he's thinking right now?
There's
So
something in
what
there.
happens? What's it in that story? What happens?
in the
Stomach Ground.
song?
Yeah.
I don't really know if it had a story arc as such.
No.
I think it was just kind of observational.
It did climax.
Yes.
Yeah.
He was 8 years old. Just
Yes.
for
Yeah.
reference. So you find out at a very young age that you like to write
Yeah.
and you like to play.
Yeah.
How about sing?
And sing. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I didn't know if I was going to be the guy on stage, I think, or the guy kind of
Behind the scenes.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I always loved just writing songs.
Okay.
So from an early age, I started writing with people on their music and was kind of writing my own songs. And I'm still kind of doing the same thing I was doing from then, really.
So what was your first little breakthrough, I guess, that started opening up the doors and you started saying, you know what, I could really do this. I could really start.
My first, I think, a big major break was I was out with some mates in town in London, and
mates means friends.
Friends,
guys.
and we got that was when you used to have unlicensed minicabs, which you don't have anymore.
Okay.
So you'd have people on the street like, need a ride,
yes.
need a cab, which you still kind of have now, but then I think it was kind of legal at that point.
Okay.
So we're in town and this guy need a cab, and we're like, yeah, we do. We need a ride home. It was like midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning from Piccadilly Circus. And
hey, famous.
So got in a taxi with this guy and we start talking about music with this driver. And he starts talking about all the sort of music I'm into. We start talking about Radiohead and Bob Dylan and David Gray, and he was talking about this guy Terry Callier and loads of great music. We drop my friends off, and I'm the last drop off. And we get home. It's about 2 a.m. He's dropping me at my parents' house where I was living in Wembley. And I'm like, I do music. Do you want to come in? Do you want to come in? I'd love to play some of my music.
Mm-hmm.
And
right there.
Yeah, we'd kind of bonded at this point.
Yeah.
Had something in common. And this guy who I didn't know, he comes in and I'm playing in my music. And he was just like, this is brilliant. This is great. I need to introduce you to some people. This was a minicab driver by night, but music enthusiast, and kind of this guy became kind of a mentor for me, and introduced me to people.
How unorthodox. That's amazing.
Random and unorthodox. Yeah, and introduced me to people that then it was the kind of the start. That was really the first domino. Yeah, Tyrone. Yeah, who's still a dear friend in my life. Yeah, but that was like the first domino, because then he introduced me to some guys then that ran a club night in London, that knew all the musicians, and they had a production company, and they then signed me. And these are people that, and then through that production company, I got my first record deal eventually with Universal, and then it all kind of went from there.
So let me ask you a question.
So there's a lesson there first.
Well, let's hear the lesson first.
Talk to your cabbie.
Talk to your cabbie.
Talk to your cabbie.
Yeah, or anyone. You never know.
Unlicensed or licensed.
Yeah, either.
There's a lesson though. You don't know that amazing blessing or the next door that opens.
No.
That it can come from the most, unassuming person.
Be open. Yeah. I mean, it's unusual that I'd invite someone into my parents' house.
Yeah.
That I didn't know. At 2 o'clock in the morning. I just had I just felt like a kind of a kinship.
Yes.
With this person, and it proved to be right.
It's funny. I was telling you this yesterday. I didn't get a chance to finish it. When I was in LA, my Uber driver when I was coming home from set, he was telling me, we were talking about the power of music, and we were exchanging how powerful music is. And he told me when he was in Vegas and he was suicidal, he had a loaded gun on the dash of his car, and he was literally seconds away from ending his life. And the radio was on, and J. Cole's song, Love Yours, if you know it, Luvyourz, Love Yours, if you're looking it up, by J. Cole, came on. And the whole premise of the song is, there's no such thing as a life that's better than yours. There's no such thing. Wow. It's like, the life that you have is the life that you have. And he goes through in the verses, it basically breaks down the things for you to kind of appreciate the things that you have versus the deficit or the things you don't have. And he said that song, he just wept, and it saved his life. And he told me in the cab, he's like, if I ever, because we're talking the power of music, and he's like, yeah, it saved my life. And that, he said that if he did not hear that song, he would not be alive at that exact moment. Okay, so
that's crazy.
Yeah, so again, being open, and that's the power of music, man. I mean, I know you know that. Well,
we were also talking about, which I love about that story, and what led us into that story when we were talking the other day, is how when you make something, and like you were saying about the podcast just before we started recording, you don't know the ripples, you don't know where they go.
No.
So you just have to make true, good stuff, don't you, and put it out, because you don't know when an episode of a podcast you watch inspires You know,
You don't
someone
know.
from-
No, you don't. And, you
And
know,
you'll never be able to take inventory of it. It's impossible.
Yeah, it's impossible.
look, I'll tell you what blows my mind. Okay, this blows my mind. Okay, I am an entrepreneur by heart. I mean, I didn't go to school for business. I just literally
He wore his underwear week 1 and he sold it off by the 8th day.
by the
Right.
8th day.
This guy was
After
from a
wearing
kid.
it 8 days.
It's amazing.
No, but anyways, there's no truth to that. But I'm like, listen,
Sorry.
yeah. So
I heard that is true.
yes. So I say that because as someone that truly feels that I'm born to be an entrepreneur, I've had people already kind of through loose conversation say, "Why are you wasting your time on this podcast? Okay, like why are you even bother doing this?
Blasphemy.
I mean, it makes no
you
sense."
You never told me
And I
this.
laugh at that because I find there's a formula in life, and once you know how to work that formula, you can replicate it over and over and over again. You'll hear successful people over and over say that if something happened and they had to bankrupt, they could just redo the whole thing, start from scratch, because they
Yeah.
have that formula, right?
Yeah.
So for me, not to say that we're focusing on this podcast, but to me, anything that you do, as long as you have that formula, which part of that formula includes work ethic, right? As long as you have those elements in place, the likeliness of you pushing forward and turning into a success, it all comes down to how hard you're able to put that formula into practice, right? Which I was going to ask you as a leading question before that came
What's your
up.
formula so we can learn?
Yes. No. I have some friends, and I know Mike does, that are all into the music scene. Okay, and they're trying to break in either by being a musician, like actually singer songwriter, performer, producer, and the music world, just like the film world, and trying to be a lawyer, it involves a lot of work and a lot of rejection. Okay, how much of that did you face getting into where you are right now, like where people would just say no?
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah.
You. But I always believed in what I was doing.
Right.
But it was weird. I had a weird kind of beginning when it started getting really serious.
Yes.
I was working in a recording studio. That was like my day job.
Okay.
So I was trying to. So I already designed my world, so I was close to the world I wanted to be in.
Yes.
Smart.
So my was working hard to fund the art until the art could fund itself.
Was that
That's what I used
planned?
to
Was that
tell
your
myself.
plan?
Yeah. So I
Okay.
arranged myself to be in the ecosystem.
Okay.
But as an assistant, a coffee guy, like in the studio, but in the world, so I could see how everything worked and get familiar
Right.
with the suit, so
Yeah.
it felt comfortable.
How beneficial was that?
Super beneficial. Yeah. So when I left, this was a strategy, I guess. I didn't maybe realize it at the time. I was just following my heart. But when I left school, I got a job in the mailroom of a big, it was the biggest independent recording company and studios, which happened to be not far from where I lived. And that was like my university campus.
Okay.
And it was a really cool, it was like a bunch of it wasn't like a big office building. It was this independent record company that happened to get very successful. But it was just a bunch of different kind of houses, like on a high street.
Mm-hmm.
There was recording studios, there was the accounts building, there was the video department, and it's how I learned kind of what a record company is and how that works and how the studios work. And I was always trying to get in the recording studios if they needed extra help. And so, yeah, that was part of my strategy, was to be in the ecosystem. And then I started playing my own shows in the evenings. And then it got serious pretty quick. Like I remember coming into work one day and my boss was like, "Did you play a show last night at the?" I had someone call me up about like Gary Go, because that was my name at work as well. I was like Gary Go, like, because I was always on the move.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah. Okay. Nice.
and he was like, "Did you play a show?" I was like, "Yeah." And then the next show I did, it was all of the kind of A&R guys and in London.
Yeah.
And these are the people that make up, sign you on.
Okay.
And this is part of the strategy I didn't know at this time was really you should get good. They say like outside of the city.
Okay.
So when so you can kind of get good off the radar,
Right.
and then come in and play for the heat, when you've kind of weathered,
Interesting.
know.
Yes.
But this was my second show,
Yeah.
and so my second show, like the whole industry was there to see me because the first one had gone pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was awful. The second show.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was my second big show.
Yeah.
Now, when you say you're playing, are you? This is where you're playing the piano and
I
singing.
had put a band together at this
Okay.
time, guys I went to school with. I had an EP that I'd recorded,
Okay.
a bunch of songs I'd written, and it was me with a band. I was playing guitar,
Right.
and Wurlitzer keyboard and singing. And
So what was bad about that performance?
it was just a guy from the studios where I worked that was there that saw me the next day was like, "You overcooked that one a little bit, Garrett, didn't you, yesterday?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, I was gutted. I just went too far.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just did. I thought because the first one got so well, I thought, okay, now I'm gonna have to be. I've got to be like a rock star. I got to pretend like, or
Yeah.
I got to feel.
What a great way to describe it. You overcooked that.
Yeah. Well, I
that's
didn't
good.
know it was my second go. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, I was 19 maybe.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like I didn't know anything.
Yeah.
So I was like, what do they? I don't know what I was thinking, and I'd missed the sound check. Because
Okay.
I was at work at the studio and we had a late session, so I shot my guitar players and not angry with me because I missed the sound check, and it was a bad energy, and yeah, I did it. I overcooked it, and all these, and you're in London, and all these, and I got, they've seen everything.
Yes.
Yes.
They're like sitting there, they're there with their arms folded, and the house lights didn't go down. I'll never forget that.
Oh no.
The house lights went down, so I can just see them.
Everybody's face.
Yeah, everyone's face. It was just a disaster.
Okay.
And I remember, when it finished, everyone had just cleared out, so they didn't have to speak to the manager or, it was like,
Yeah.
it was a bad gig,
Yeah.
which you're allowed to have bad gigs, but it's just I'd put that pressure on myself, not knowing, maybe I should have toured around outside of the city first, figured out who I am or what the gig is.
There's a couple of lessons there, I've heard that before too, that if you're going to make your mark in the industry, you got to know the industry,
And this was part now down the line. I'm happy for these experiences.
Yeah, it's
good.
That's they're big learning experiences.
Yes.
And I just kept going.
Right.
But it did. That was you asked about like rejection. That was
Yeah.
a big because I thought I was going to get signed. I'd already met before this gig. I'd met the managing directors of the labels. It was like this was the show.
I say this, you obviously had belief. You said off the top you had belief. I think what's amazing with big belief is that you're okay to work small. So you're okay to get coffee. You're okay to be in the studio and just be someone that runs around because you have a big thinking when you go in there. There was a producer I met. She was actually Ben Affleck's assistant for 8 years. She always knew she wanted to be a producer, but she went into the world to be an assistant. When Ben Affleck met her, he said to her that she's such a powerhouse that one day, whatever she decides to do, she's going to do it. The first movie she produced was The Town.
Mm.
His movie. Yeah.
Second movie she executive produced, was Argo. Okay.
Fantastic film.
Okay. So, her name escapes me right now, but I
So
just
he
met.
believed in her. He's
He's like he believes in her. There's all these articles online you can find of him just saying, oh, he knew that she had this, it was capable. But it's interesting. So it's not what. It's why, like, she got coffee. She probably chased down duct tape. She probably held lights on. Like she did whatever it took. But it's really cool. It's not where you start, And I say that because I've spoken with people who have big dreams, but they refuse to work small. They just people around them need to recognize that they are the chosen one, and they're just waiting for that phone call without putting in any legwork. Let me ask, you said that you should have got weathered outside. Did it work against you in any way? Was there a familiarity that, aren't you that kid from the studio? Did it in any way hamper?
In my head, I think it did.
Yeah.
Because I think I started meeting people in the industry as the kid that was working at the label. So I think then I had some identity issues myself.
Yes.
That I had to kind of figure out. Because I was like this singer-songwriter inside, and I was like, but I was working, as a runner in the record company.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, this is how they see me, and that was affecting how I see myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember like this. I had and I was always fighting inside. I had this existential crisis one day. I still remember it to this day, where I kind of had a conversation with myself on a staircase in the office, like, I got to get out of here. I got to get a job, in the studios full time. I've got to get one step closer to who I feel like on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
and that's when I left to get a job fully in the recording studio
Mm-hmm.
to try and get closer. But still, I wasn't the guy. I was still like
It's interesting how your own viewpoint of yourself is what can hold you back, right?
Oh,
You know,
100%.
Yeah, I mean, there's people like, look at J-Lo. J-Lo was a fly girl.
Mm.
She's one of the dancers on In Living Color.
Yeah.
Okay, and I remember when she first started coming out as a music artist and as an actress, and it's like, oh yeah, she was one of those fly girls, and for maybe a month it didn't give her credibility. But I don't know her. I've never spoken with her. I've never seen her speak on it, but guaranteed she had a bigger belief beyond what that first
100%.
Yeah.
I think
Because she has a massive empire right now, massive empire of what she represents.
it's all about how you see yourself.
Yeah.
That's the biggest challenge I think we face, or I face, or
Yeah.
have faced over. It's really that's the lead. Like how do you see yourself? Because I remember early on, once I started to get in touch, in contact with people who I saw as really successful and where I wanted. People that I identified with as where I wanted to get to. I realized at that point, kind of disappointingly, that they're still hustling.
Yeah.
I remember realizing that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I started to get mentored and taken under the wing of people that I was like, this is who I want to kind of emulate or, shape
Yeah.
a career like this. And I realized they're still hustling.
They haven't arrived.
They're still worrying about their next record. Their next record might not be a hit record.
Mhm.
Wow.
And I realized all of the kind of problems and concerns are like identical. They've just have had some success in the past, maybe have a cushion to a degree, but it's still the same hustle and struggle.
Absolutely.
So I remember realizing that is not going to end.
Okay. It's true. You can't stop. Mark Cuban actually says that. He goes, for everybody that's thinking of just taking a break or just kind of like just pacing at a slow pace, there's somebody out there that's not sleeping. He's working against the clock to try to beat you, right? And at the end of the day, you have to have it in your mind that there's someone out there that's willing to put that extra time to push. You just can't be. Look at an athlete, like an NBA player. The guys that ride the bench, right? The guys that get in, they make it to the NBA or to the pro leagues, but then they can't get that starting spot. Some of them just say, "Okay, great, I made it to the NBA. I mean, I don't mind sitting in the bench, right?"
Yeah, it's true.
And I mean, like, what an accomplishment! They've already defied massive odds. But what if you want to continue, right? It's keep on pushing it. That's what defines you.
What's unique about the arts is, so I have an athletic background. I have an artistic background. When I was training in acting, I trained with David Rotenberg. He is the guru of acting in Canada. He's the personal coach for Rachel McAdams. I had the crazy privilege to train under him for about 9 months before I even came and got an agent, came into the industry. And I remember we sat on the bench once, and it's very rare to get personal time with him. And I remember sitting on the bench on King Street at King and Strawn, and we're having a coffee, and I told him my vision, what I want to do in film. Okay. First thing he said to me, he's like, okay, you're going to need clout. In order to do that, you're going to need clout. So you need to work the system as best. You need to know it inside out and understand how it works. Okay. Secondly, he said to me, okay, I just lost my thought. I was thinking of David Rotenberg. He's one of those guys. He's like a Mr. Miyagi. He has that.
It's great to find a teacher like that.
Yeah, he's one of those people who he'll tell you something and you don't think it has any relevance, and then
Right.
it was like 7 years later, you're like, okay, he gave that to me. You guys take up the conversation.
Well, I know.
For
Well,
some
I'm
reason,
gonna trigger this thought back very quick because we're talking about not giving up, right, and pushing.
Yeah.
Right? Is the thought coming back yet?
No, not yet.
Okay, we'll let it come back. Okay, so
Don't give up.
Yeah, don't
I
give
won't
up.
give up.
Don't give up.
I'll be here.
So while Mike contemplates his next thought
Keep
process,
pushing,
yeah.
Mike.
So in what you were doing and kind of pushing. I mean, when did you start identifying? Because obviously, doing a little background on you, security background as well. So
Full security
you
background
checked,
check.
man. You checked out.
We're safe today.
You've written and produced some songs for some pretty significant artists that we know today, like Rihanna, and who was it, Robbie Williams, and these are significant artists. Yeah, and to me, from just knowing, like, when I have to write something, like, for example, Christina, who does our social media, we ask her to write up, to do a write up for us for describing a podcast or describing this. Writing's tricky, man. When did you find out that this was your niche? Like, I'm a pretty good songwriter. When did you start, like, finding that out?
It's a good question. I wonder if it was people telling me, or I just felt that I think I just resonated with what I was writing myself. I think I just believed in myself before anyone told me that my stuff was all right.
But did you find that was your strength out of all your... So obviously we know you produce, you sing, you play.
Writing was my thing.
That was your strength.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that was it right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And still, I would say that's my
Interesting.
sharpest tool.
So there's a scene in the movie. It's the one where the guy goes back in time and recreates the Beatles songs. Did you watch that movie?
I haven't seen
My
that yet.
friend wrote the music for that movie.
Are you serious?
Yesterday.
Yesterday.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So there's a scene in the movie where who's that British?
He didn't write the Beatles music.
No. But
Yeah.
there's a guy in the movie.
That was the
A
Beatles.
British guy plays a guitar.
Ed Sheeran.
Ed Sheeran.
Yes.
He's in the movie. So there's this part in the movie with Ed Sheeran basically does this. All right, we're gonna do this little competition. We're gonna leave the room right now, and we're gonna write a song, and we're gonna perform it, and whoever does the best wins, kind of thing, right? But when I saw that scene, I'm thinking, to be able to put together music, obviously, and write and compose and make it sound enjoyable and listenable, that's difficult, man. I mean, from where I come from, when I'm seeing that's be very, very difficult to do. Like, how do you get there for yourself? How's creativity run to you? Just trying, I'm gonna.
This might help. I remember my thought. Okay, he looked at me, David Rotenberg, and he said, "Mike, you can't muscle this."
Okay.
Okay, because in athletics, we make a lot of athletic references, and it's a great reference in terms of team and work and discipline. But the arts it has sometimes it has different variables. It's just a different playing field. And I remember when he said to me, "You can't muscle this," I got frustrated.
Right.
Because I just thought if I just keep pushing and pressing that it's going to make good things happen. So, but then you might overcook everything.
Right.
There's a delicacy and there's a finesse, or, there's so many other things in the art versus just chop that tree down and do it harder than the other guy.
Right.
Okay. Almost in any artistic industry, the more, if you kind of go even that hard, it almost, I've noticed from other people that are just so tenacious that people start to back away from them a little, and it's almost like they kind of they don't align with them because I guess they may not be as delicate with the art as someone else would want it to be. It's just all about like, I'm going to get what I want to get, and they kind of steamroll everybody.
Right.
Okay, so.
Yeah, that can be a hard energy to be around.
It is, right?
Yeah.
Because what does that mean? As going back to Constantine's question, to be effective creatively,
Well, not to muscle it, to remember to forget. So I think to do all of that.
Oh, did you hear what he said?
The work.
To remember to forget.
The work you do in your workshop. So all that from when you're 8, playing on the Casio keyboard, tinkering away. I think that's when you can be tenacious, and when you're kind of on your own, workshopping and developing your craft. But then when you kind of come to writing in a situation with someone or for an artist, that's when you just have to kind of let it flow and hope all that time in the workshop kind of
it comes
kicks in. Yeah.
Right.
How does that work? Can you give us an insight? These writing camps, I mean, most people would never even know what they are. Every now and then it leaks out, there's this writing camp for an album. A bunch of writers got in a house on Malibu for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And what's that dynamic? What's it like when there's
those can be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done a few of those.
Yeah.
I remember the first one I did was arranged by a friend of mine. We went to Bali to this kind of villa, a bunch of songwriters.
Wow.
And that was the premise. It's possible now, like probably when it wasn't before, where you can take a few laptops and some little speakers and set up kind of anywhere. So they have these remote camps now in the jungle, and we've done one on a yacht. Like where you go and you write songs for a week, with a bunch of different songwriters or artists. It's fun. I mean, it's like.
What does it look like? Everyone's kind of turned to the wall with their own guitar, and then someone turns to the middle and says, "I got something." I'm just kidding.
What's cool about it is I remember going on camp as a kid, and you kind of think as you grow up like those days are going to end, but it's kind of
it's the same feel,
it's
right?
It's still kind of camp.
Yeah.
You get put, like whoever's running it will be like, okay, you three are writing together today. At breakfast they'll say you three are writing together. So you get designated into a room, and you're the producer, say, and you're doing melody, and I'm doing lyrics. So everyone does a bit of everything, and you just kind of write.
Yeah.
And maybe there's an artist that we're writing for that's at the camp that will be in the room. or that will pop in.
What's your process? Do you start with lyrics or you start with music?
I hope they arrive at the same time.
Wow.
Yeah, I'd sit and kind of start with some music, some chords, and hope that it kind of comes.
Do you try to? Okay, so somebody in sales will tell you that to sharpen their skills in sales, that they'll go out there on a weekly basis and make sure that they're trying to close, so that doesn't leave them. Do you try to get in front of your music, your keyboard every single day, and just kind of just let it go?
I'm trying again. Yeah. I used to do.
Okay.
That's how when I started, I was writing every day.
Right.
Every day.
Okay.
Just letting it flow and being open to it, and then it's kind of flowing.
Right.
You're tuned into that radio station. I remember Lou Reed would describe it as like a radio station that you kind of you're tuned into, and those songs are just coming.
Yeah.
Because songwriters, I hear a lot of songwriters describe, that they don't write the songs, that they just kind of come.
Yes.
Download them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
There's a muse, something divine or whatever. Yeah.
I've experienced. That's just showing up, and being open and tuned into the channel.
Okay.
Quincy Jones talks about that quite a lot.
And it's the true. I mean, it happens. And a lot of people say, these great songs were written in 10, 15 minutes. Somebody, because they just kind of boom. But there's a lot of work that's gone into being tuned into that channel, being able to be open.
Okay.
Yes.
So yeah, I think my life, like personally, I think my head kind of got me out of that habit. It's a habit. So I'm getting more back into that.
Okay.
Now, I've just finished making another album.
Okay.
So I get to more detailed answers. I'll get so kind of obsessed with this one project.
Yes.
Which I have been.
Yeah.
That I tune out of I just tune into the channel of this album.
Okay.
So then that becomes my focus.
Yes.
So that's a blessing and a curse, because I tune out of I turn the channel off, because I've chosen the songs I'm going to work on and develop, and that's my.
And this is your album.
Yeah.
Has it released yet?
No, not yet. So that's coming out.
It's titled "Love Lost, Freedom Found." I had the privilege of having a sample listen, and it's amazing.
What would you consider the genre?
Life.
Like hip-hop?
Life. Love that. I don't think you can select that on
Spotify.
Yeah.
You can't.
What would you describe the genre?
Yes, tell us, Mike.
Life. I'd say life.
No.
I click other.
Okay, but style of music.
You speak to it.
Pop?
You speak to it.
I say alternative pop.
Alternative pop. Okay.
But I don't think that's a genre you can pick on Spotify.
That boxes you.
So then it's alternative or indie.
Okay.
Yeah, very indie sound.
Do you think indie sound?
Indie sound. There's a very cinematic feel to it, because Gary also he'll score. He scored a couple of movies. What 2 or 3 right now?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, he has that ear.
In there, a bit of the.
And in moments there's there. It doesn't have Flow Rider, so it was really tough for me to get through it. I just it does have Tori Kelly though. Do you know Tori Kelly?
Yes.
Tori Kelly, amazing vocalist. What was it like working with her?
She's amazing. Yeah, she's great singer. So it was fun to be in the studio with her.
I mean, it must always be fun to just collab with so much artists. I mean,
the collab is like the blessing, It's just, it could be the curse too. But
no, I love collaborating.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, if it goes wrong,
if it goes wrong,
it
can be. It becomes a skill trying to avoid being in situations that are going to go wrong.
Right.
To me, I look at the creative collab. It's like literally going through like the jungle, and as you go through, you come across like pockets of like warm water when it's cold at night, and you find beautiful fruit from the tree that it's not poisonous. Okay,
yes.
but you imagine you did just experience that on your own. But imagine to explore it, just a kid in you to explore it with other people. That's what I look at creative collab. It's like, you explore, and then you start to build, and then you accomplish or go somewhere with other people. It's like, to me, it's the most rewarding thing in the world.
Often when you're collaborating with an artist, though, they are looking to you to be the kind of the guide in the jungle.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit.
Hey.
Okay.
Like it's not. I find. It's not like let's all explore together, but I do think there's a subtext of they're in with you because they are looking to you to have the machete and cut through the jungle.
I smell the water.
Yes. That's kind of why they're there, I think. Maybe with their friends they'll, explore together, but you're often put in a situation because you're the one to kind of to guide them.
To be the first eaten by the panther.
Yes.
Okay. Essentially.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. Is there something about the music industry that you don't like? Like as a whole, like something that it just, it could be anything, right? But just something that in process wise that you could change if you could.
No, I don't think there's anything I'd change. I feel like I'm kind of rediscovering. It has changed.
Okay.
Like so much and so quickly with technology.
Okay.
Maybe if there was an app that populated all your social media and got everything ready and
that would be just
knew you inside out with AI technology.
That would be great. Yeah, that could just post and communicate.
Yeah,
with,
exactly.
Yeah, people on my behalf.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I don't like that. Some of that, the social media element of the blurring of content and without context, and also what am I trying to say? We spoke about
maybe
this
touch
a little
about
bit yesterday. Kind of the noise.
Yeah.
And how music has blurred into this world of social media.
Okay.
Which so much of it has nothing to do with music.
Okay.
But the landscape is way bigger, which is fine. It's just different. I don't know whether I would change it.
Okay, let me ask you this. Do you find the quality of music? So, for example, when they say things like, and this is more old talk, oh man, they don't play those songs like they used to, like the rock and roll and all that. Do you find that music has changed where it used to be better?
Well, I had this conversation last night with a producer here I was working with. And you start sounding really nostalgic when you talk like
you
that.
do. You seriously do.
And you start sounding like people you used to ridicule when you were a kid having this conversation.
Oh, when the Stones used to play.
But I was thinking about some of the songs that I came up with that were on the radio when I kind of,
Like remember Milli Vanilli? Remember Milli Vanilli when they first came out?
Yes.
Oh, but like, 90s Britpop and guitar music and to me, when I think of, really interesting...
Rick Astley.
Not Rick Astley as much. But, but that was a bit before... Rick Astley was... that was a different time.
It's a good time.
But I think about, like, Britpop.
Yes.
And how authentic I think a lot of that music was.
Right.
How interesting...
Yes, definitely.
Lyrically it was... culturally how it felt kind of connected to culture and what was going on in the UK, and I feel like maybe a lot of the music now is disconnected from what's going on.
Okay.
I think what you're saying is, tell me if I'm right or wrong, authenticity, because
or substance.
No, I say that because a lot of people just want to be different for different sake. So it's like, okay, they're going to make their hair pink sideways and then it points down because you know what I mean?
I tried it. It didn't look good.
Yeah, exactly. Versus something just being abstract and different but it's authentic. It's an authentic expression of that person. I kind of think that just because we have such access to so many different, different people, different artists, that if you were in that industry, you'd feel the pressure to try to be different versus tune in to something internal and say, okay, I'm going to be totally true to what is inside.
That's what I've always done.
Yeah.
And there's one thing for sure is people are making some of the best music, ever, I think, and it's out there. You can go and find it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just I find that this conversation becomes more about what is bubbling to the surface, and why. Like what's prevalent, what is the most popular things, and that's kind of an indicator a lot of the time, I think, of where.
And that could go back to what you were saying earlier about noise. It could be equated to noise. Just great social media and just someone releasing a song every week and on the cusp of everything that's happening in pop culture or defining it. But it doesn't mean that any of that music's going to actually have any substance or speak to you, right?
Right. It doesn't. Yeah, the two can be disconnected.
In one ear, out the other, right?
Yeah.
I was telling Gary yesterday, I was listening to his album. I had it on the countertop. I'm making eggs. I just finished washing a pot. And as I was washing the pot, I was kind of in tune to the sound because I've been listening to his album. And that song, I don't know if it's like the 7th or 8th song. Do you remember? I don't know which one.
Maybe, the 7th tune.
It's somewhere, it's like the 7th song. So I'm in that frame of mind. And I remember hearing the pot, and then I heard my kids, and my kids were like just being loud and laughing, and then I heard a little fight, and then they started laughing again. And I started thinking, man, I love my life. I'm so happy. Like, truly. I was like, it was in the morning, I'm like, man, I'm just so happy. Just the fact my house is full. And I started thinking all these thoughts. And as I was moving from the sink, I grabbed some eggs, and I put the eggs on the countertop, and I look up at my phone that I have on a stand, and the song title of his song is titled Happiness Starts Now. Okay? So the irony of that is...
That's like the J. Cole story.
Yeah, exactly. And I say that...
Happier version.
Yeah, a happier version.
Yeah.
But that's the power, to me, that's the power of art. Like, he has the privilege of me being able to tell him that, but you would never know that. You'd never know, that
unless
literally
you told me.
what I was experiencing was literally, I had a soundtrack titled exactly what I was feeling, and I didn't know that's the title of the song.
Right.
Okay? And it was early in the track where he wasn't singing, and he didn't say happiness starts now with like over and over as 1,000 layered chant that primed me to think it. No,
Yes.
and I say that just because to me that's the most amazing thing about art is you just never know. Or even your impact, just talking with someone. You could literally just talk to someone while you're grabbing your coffee and say something, and that sets a whole new course for their life, and you'll never know. You'll never know that you said, hey man, don't give up.
Yes.
Stories like that,
Yeah.
though, or for me, like absolute rocket fuel. Like when someone messages me and like, man, this song, I was really depressed. And I get these messages like, I was really depressed, and this, your first album like really helped me through this. And like, this for me is like, I think that's real rocket fuel. Like
Yeah.
for me, I can't. They're so meaningful, like messages like that, because absolutely you wouldn't know. And I'm like, thanks so much for sharing that with me. Like it's really encouraging.
I mean, something like this right now, it can inspire you to write a song for Standing in the Six.
You heard it here. You've heard it here first, folks.
The new theme song.
New theme song, there you go.
I like that.
That's awesome, man. Subconsciously, you do things that for someone else, and it helps people to hear that. And the thing is, as you said, you don't get to hear it all the time. You don't get to hear how it's changing someone's life.
Yeah.
You wouldn't
Or
know.
doing that. You don't know that.
Every now and then it comes back, and someone tells you, hey, remember when you stopped me? Or maybe when you said that? Remember when you challenged me?
Yeah.
You don't know. Remember you were just kind of going on that rant?
Yes.
Yeah,
I-
you changed my life.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
You saved my life.
Yeah.
That's
That's amazing.
Obviously, it's not it's a real reward. It's a reward.
It really is.
Yeah.
I like that, man.
yeah.
I like that.
Hopefully, people will feel that way about this new album in some ways. I don't know. It's not designed to
Yes.
help anyone. It was. You're right. Kind of.
So let me ask you this: for someone that's out there not listening to this, and they're literally wanting to pursue their dreams, what would you tell them would be something from your experience? Just, you got to do this if you want to see this. Like, what would you say?
I would say, one thing that worked for me is try and design your life to be at least close to where you want to get to in
Okay.
some capacity.
Okay.
Mhm.
Like that's a simple. Try and have access to the world that you want to be
Okay.
in any capacity. I mean, we were talking about a story about Steven Spielberg yesterday, and there's an urban legend that he used to creep in to the film sets, and he befriended the security guard at the gate, right?
Yeah.
And used to just kind of be around
Right.
the film set. Whether that's true or not,
Mhm.
that's the sort of thing you need. It's a
Yeah.
good story.
Yeah.
Right.
And I did that by being around the studio and being around that environment. So that would be one thing I would say, and also just keep going,
Mhm.
and that it doesn't stop. There isn't a point of arrival.
Okay.
I think that's the most real advice you could most disappointing advice you could get. I
Right.
remember
It's
being
true.
so disappointed when I realized that, but I think the earlier you realize that, the better. That's the truth.
Right.
Like it's someone who you think, The Rock is still hustling. Like what he's thinking
Yeah.
about what the next movie is. What's he, is he going to get into politics? I don't know where he's at, but like
Which
it's-
coincidentally, his producing partner was his assistant.
right.
His producing partner, who makes all of these movies that just it's gonna broke 600 million worldwide, and I was like, it was his assistant. It was someone who literally got him coffee. Okay,
Right.
if he drinks coffee, I doubt he does, but
Well, I heard a talk he was giving when he first of all he got out of wrestling. He was already very successful in wrestling.
Yes.
He left that to start again, which is what you talk about if you've got the keys,
Yes.
you
The
can
formula.
you can,
Yes.
you can
Yeah.
start again.
Yeah.
And then for a long time, he was doing movies that he didn't like, that had no respect. And, you know, the general public is seeing this guy in big movies, you know, but he's still not. You're still reaching. It's like it was just another story of him that you're never arriving. So I think that's a real thing that you could, that is something that I wish I knew even earlier.
Yeah. Yeah.
That there's not an arrival point. You have to do whatever you're chasing because you love it.
Right.
And
Yes.
the journey is the destination, you know.
Yeah.
And I'd heard that always. The
Yeah.
journey is the destination, but I don't think I really knew or lived that until further in to the journey.
Yeah.
That's good, man. That's good.
I know it because it's so easy just to think, oh man, I hate this. I hate the people I'm with, but they're all a means to an end, and I'm gonna one day arrive, and I'm gonna get where I need to be, you know. And it's like,
Yeah.
you know.
You know, I remember hearing songs I'd written on the radio, and feeling, you know, not being able to enjoy it, like, because you're thinking about what's the next thing now, or what's like, not, this isn't feeling how I thought it would, you know, like Rihanna, you know, I wrote this song, Rihanna singing it, it's on the radio, like you'd think that should be, but I remember feeling like melancholy about it,
Mm-hmm.
because then you're like, oh, I got to do what's the next thing now?
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's what I remember, not feeling as happy as I thought I should have felt about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
But because really, and that's bad. Like, I think it's about enjoying, you know, what you're doing, which I do, but being able to enjoy it, knowing that you're
Right.
never, it's never gonna.
Yes.
There's not a eureka
Right.
moment. I don't think.
Yes.
I think it's a continual.
That you get there and it just sustains forever without no.
It's a continual flow,
Yeah.
Yes.
and enjoy the peaks, and know in the troughs that, you know, that's just the beginning of another peak.
Yeah,
mean-
it's never just going to be up and up and
No,
up
for
and
sure.
up and up.
I
no.
think I thought that.
Yeah.
I think I thought that as a
Yeah.
kid.
Yeah.
And I think if people do think like that all the time, I mean, life's too short, man. Something happens, you get sick, all that kind of stuff. You're gonna kind of go through your life not enjoying it, right? Ever. You're gonna miss milestone moments.
You're gonna miss it.
You're gonna miss it.
Yeah.
You're gonna miss it. Exactly. So the whole thing about enjoy the moment and still be able to kind of push through. If another moment comes, great, right?
And seize the moment.
And
be in the moment.
Yes.
I remember I opened for a big band in the UK on their tour, and they were playing stadiums. So I was playing stadiums. This was like with my first album, and one of the shows was at Wembley Stadium, which is a huge, biggest stadium I think in the UK, and it's where I
It's
grew
your
up.
hometown.
It's my hometown. So first night I was super nervous. I thought I was in a dream. It was like I was incredibly nervous. Like, Wembley Stadium, this better be good. And I played the show, and I was nervous. And a friend, a mentor of mine, was at the show, and I told him, you know, I was so nervous. I hope tomorrow's better. And he goes, "You can't hope tomorrow's better. Like, you got to make it better." You know, and that was one of those. You made me think of him when you told like, the story about your acting teacher, and that
Mhm.
really struck home with me. That was about like, you got to take the moment,
Right.
you know, and be in the moment and create the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can't hope that it's better.
Yeah.
Like, you got to do, you know, the work,
Exactly.
like to make it better.
That's good. That's
and I
good.
went out there the next night and smashed it.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I felt like I didn't overcook it,
Yeah.
but I did what I had to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not something that arbitrarily happens or not. Like, you take control of it in the sense of, you know, I always think of it, you know, if you just say like, oh man, that whole que sera, sera, whatever will be. For me, I don't just subscribe
you can't
to
be
that.
passive. Like, when you're
No.
shooting a movie, you can't just be on set and like hope you get it right.
Right.
No, you got to put in a lot of work.
Hope you get into
Yeah.
character.
You can't wing it. You can't wing
No.
it. Yeah.
No.
Because you're like, I'm a good actor. I'm gonna be. It's gonna go well today
Right.
because I'm good. It's like, that ain't gonna fly, is it?
But it's definitely what you said earlier about you have to remember everything and then forget. It's so interesting. It's one of those things you have to, you know, me personally, I don't like using acting, you know, I don't like to use it to describe everyday life because it's not, but you learn a lot from it, and you learn a lot about pouring so much of your time and energy, everything. You're like, it takes your all and you pour it into a moment, and that's what like a
It's like
performance is.
or songwriting.
Yes, exactly. And then it's interesting. Not too many people have a moment in their life that's actually encapsulated and captured, whether it's digitally or whatever. But in the arts, that's what happens. Almost the goal is to get something where there's enough people watching, and then we record it, and it stands forever, right?
Yeah, but now I feel like everyone is having moments like that all the time with social media.
That's what makes it really interesting. What we're going through right now.
Mm.
But normally, moments would just happen. You would never think about it. Think you have decades of memories without having any video
Mhm.
to prove that it happened.
Right.
Right? It's a different time where we have everything archived right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe not on our servers, but on somebody's.
Somebody.
Yeah. Somebody has your whole life
Yeah.
archived, that's
Nice.
for sure.
I know. I think it's interesting though. Just what's popping up is you're hearing it a lot with social media that people are living false lives. I saw this app. There was an app ad, and you can on video you can change your face. Have you seen this?
Yes. Yeah. I think a Russian created it.
Really?
Yeah.
So literally, there's a video of a girl, and she's like looking at the camera, and she turns, and her freckles all go away when she and her spots and blemishes all go away, and she turns, and her face is perfect. It's the same one running image. Then all of a sudden, what else changes?
You can go
her
old on there, right?
Her lips change. No. This is
That's a different one.
Oh,
no,
is it?
Yeah.
This
Okay.
app beautifies you.
Ah,
So
okay,
it changed the shape of her lips, and then it made her eyes wider and
Mhm.
a lighter color. Okay.
We are going to use that app on this video, right? The podcast.
Oh my goodness! But the crazy
I
thing
was
is,
told that we'd be. Huck said that we're going to.
this is not a picture. This is a video.
video.
Yes.
Yeah.
The video.
Deep fakes.
Wow.
Okay. So, to me, what's interesting about that is very authentic people, I believe, will have the platform one day. That if the world becomes very plastic and very superficial, and you can't trust that, if you're incredibly authentic, that there'll be an audience.
Mm.
That's what I really believe.
But what about when you have authentic AI?
Mm.
Yeah, that's another story.
Like we're moving into a time without a doubt. I don't think this where you're not going to be able to tell what's real and what's not. And then we're moving into a time where the AI isn't going to be able to recognize what is AI and what's not. So that
True.
So that's going to be interesting. So this next, they call these videos deep fakes, right? Where you're going to see and hear people saying things that they never said,
Yeah.
or did.
Right.
So it's going to be that I don't think people are really realizing what's about to happen.
Which is
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's happening right now.
It's happening right now.
Yeah.
So you're seeing so you're going to see things on the news or what appears to be a clip from the news that
Yes.
you'll see on Twitter or
Right.
wherever. That
Yeah, I wonder-
someone's saying
I wonder
something
what-
that never happened.
Yes.
I wonder what's gonna what's gonna be created to verify,
Right.
But
to fact check,
and
to
that's the
source.
thing: is the AI going to be able to recognize what is AI?
Mm.
And that's.
I think they're talking about that right now, that it doesn't. And that's the thing, it doesn't. It literally, if you just took a clip of anyone and there was an overdub, some of the, what people can do right now, there's programs that they can literally program. The AI technology can take your voice if you have enough recordings, and they can make you say anything. Have you seen that?
Yes.
They can, and with video, they can make someone basically say anything, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I might not be here right now. This might.
Yeah,
this
you're
might
right.
be a long.
It's a hologram.
example.
Did anybody shake Gary's hand when he came in, just to know?
It might all be an example of
I'm gonna be
simulation.
I'm throwing this water at you, but it's entirely
yeah,
just
I just vanish.
not just like
There's-
static electricity.
I messaged a friend of mine the other day who's working on a project of an AI recording artist.
Okay. Wow.
Yes.
Whoa.
Yeah, so she has social media. She's putting songs out.
This is happening.
This is happening. Yeah,
Jeez,
yeah. It's out.
man.
Like this thing is happening. Yeah.
This
Wow.
artist
So
has been released.
I was like, can I write? Do you need any songs, or is it all AI generated songs? That was,
Oh
I'd
my
love to be.
goodness.
This sounds really interesting. Love to. Be involved.
Exactly.
Are you kidding me?
No,
Wow. It almost sounds like one of those Black Mirror episodes. Like
no, it's completely Black Mirror.
Have you heard any of the songs?
I haven't actually heard any of the music. No.
They probably suck, and I'm gonna tell myself they suck because they don't make them like they used to. Remember Motown?
I want to listen to the music.
Wow.
I
Well,
think you can't replace the human heart. That's the truth. If I had to give one final answer,
Yeah.
you can mimic everything that someone does, but the heart behind it, you know.
I have very passionate conversations with a business associate of mine along this line a lot.
Yeah.
Mm.
He's
I mean-
he takes your side.
Really?
Yeah.
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 I think I take the other side.
You think that they'll be able to? Again,
not,
to me,
not like I'm not happy about it, but necessarily. But
Yeah.
I do think that there's going to be a
a-
time.
look, it's not like the movies. A robot's never gonna cry. Okay, and a robot will never know exactly at that moment if it's a tear of joy, of sadness.
How do you
Okay.
know? Like it will make us question what is consciousness. You know.
They're all
Mm.
gonna look like Arnold Schwarzenegger and
I
just
don't
say,
know.
"Why can't I kill people?" You know.
I think the more like machines, start creating art, potentially we're going to see and hear things we never imagined. That we would see or hear,
Mm.
Yeah, it's true.
like the 13th note. Like
Yeah.
you're gonna. Did you see that movie AlphaGo,
No.
where the Google DeepMind computer plays the Go champion?
No,
the
no,
world
I
champion?
didn't.
Oh, it's phenomenal. And they basically, this guy just can't beat the computer. Or he beats it once, I think. And they're kind of moved by the way the computer plays this game, and they're like, we're going to have to reevaluate the way we've been playing this game.
Mm.
Which
Wow.
has been played for centuries.
In a certain way,
So
yeah.
the kind of the machine like presents
The 13th note.
it back.
Right.
Wow.
Very
So
interesting.
I think it's going to be interesting, like
Oh, man.
what's going to be presented back at our way of thinking, presented back at us.
I think I just might be in my underwear up at some campfire where there's no electricity,
Right.
by that time. Me personally.
Well,
and I'll just get honey
yeah.
from the
we could go there,
from the bees.
or we could think of the now. When does your album drop, man?
So the record is going to drop soon. I don't have a date for it yet.
Okay.
Actually. I'm kind of seeding stuff out at the moment, but
Okay.
within the next little while.
Okay.
Yeah,
Amazing, man.
October.
Yeah. And
Okay.
and the
When does this
and the-
drop?
And the name of the album? We don't know right now. We're debating. We're debating.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Love, Lost, Freedom, Found
Love, Lost, Freedom,
is
Found.
the album.
Okay.
And it's kind of a story
Amazing.
of sorts.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
looking forward to people hearing it.
As soon as this is done, I'm going to start listening to that.
I hope
man.
you like it.
Especially when I heard Mike's egg story. I actually want some eggs.
Right.
While I'm listening to that as well.
Whatever.
Maybe the X song will come on.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, Gary, look, man. Thank you so much for coming down.
Thanks for having
I mean,
me.
we're really, really.
I'm
happy.
a little scared right now. I'm thinking about that machines
Sorry.
and art and
Yeah.
because the unknown. The unknown.
The
Anyways,
unknown.
Yeah.
We got to do that, man.
Yeah.
I go there. You see, that's why I get out of the writing flow. I go to that place.
There you
I
go.
need to-
Yeah.
Well, yeah, man. Thanks for coming down. And if it just so happens in the next little while we have a Standing in the Six composed song, I mean, it'd be amazing.
We'll see. Performed live.
Performed
Yeah, man.
live. Yeah. By the way, did you know Mike plays as well?
Of
Piano?
course.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Pretty sure that tidbit
Super
got
talent.
out.
We
Amazing.
haven't cooked yet. Maybe.
Cook
something
up.
will-
And when we
something
do,
will
we're
happen.
not going to overcook.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go.
Not at all.
There you go.
Not at all.
Thanks
Awesome,
so much,
bro.
guys.
Thanks very much, Gary. Appreciate
Yeah,
it,
it
bro.
was a
Cheers.
pleasure, man.
Thank you, man.
Enjoy. Whether are you going to be in Toronto for a little bit, or are
For
you
another
going?
couple of weeks.
Okay, this
Yeah.
guy literally is all over the world. So
Yeah.
keep collecting those frequent flyer miles.
Yeah.
And
Are you going to LA or where is it?
I'm going to LA in a few weeks, yeah,
For how long?
yeah,
for a month.
Okay, so you'll be in there around like October?
I'm going to be in LA for
We might
October.
see you there.
Oh, fantastic.
We
oh
might
yeah,
see you
yeah.
there.
We'll let you know. He's always on the go.
Yeah, always on the go. There you go.
Gary, go, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, have a good night.
Thank you
Awesome,
very
man.
much.
Thanks very much,
Yeah, it was
Gary.
a pleasure.
Make sure to
having you.
drop by next week.
Let's go.
And don't forget to subscribe.
Let's go.
It's time to give a shout out to our sponsors. This podcast is brought to you by Sentinel Security Plus. For all your premium security needs, visit sentinelsecurityplus.com.